You just don't know when to quit.
Yeah, I've been told that before.
Wow. Are you guys seeing this?
I need a weapon.
Hello there.
You with you? I thought she was with you.
Well, hello there. How's it going? Now, I'm hearing that YouTube may be down. So if you're watching this on YouTube, please drop a line. Let me know that you're there. Otherwise, hopefully you're over on the X watching this, because if YouTube's down, that's unfortunate. That's really, truly unfortunate. But I am here. I'm ready to go. And look, I know it's not Monday. Had some things going on. Our pet wasn't doing well. And well, here I am doing the show today on Wednesday, but that's okay. Look, it's always something with me, right? Always something. But here we go. Critic Chris says he's here. He says I'm here, and he's on the YouTubes. Glad to see you here, man. Glad you can make it. Yeah, we got a show. I mean, we got Marvel news because New York Comic Con was just this past weekend or week. So we got some Marvel stuff. We got some DC stuff. Obviously, the big news of the past few days has been this ongoing debate of what's going to happen with James Gunn. Where is he going? Is he fired? Is he not fired? But I don't want to necessarily focus so much on that as much as I want to focus on what does a deal for Warner Brothers Discovery look like in regards to, like, how could it happen, whether it's Paramount or possibly some other things. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about here. I do want to talk about a little more of where Peacemaker could be leading us to, or the ending of Peacemaker, what that could be leading us to. And we'll just go from there. I mean, look, I want this to just be a fun little conversation. So those of you who do join in throughout the show, yeah, just leave a comment here or there, definitely, because it should be a fun show for sure. But let's get to our first topic. My share screen went away. Well, that's unfortunate. Let's get that up here. All right, and we will move to the share screen thing and go like so. All right, so Daredevil. I don't know if you heard, but there was a trailer shown, more of a teaser shown at New York Comic Con. I am not going to show the teaser because of, well, I don't want my channel taken down because of it. But there was a teaser shown, and people were freaking out. Look, season 1 of Daredevil Born Again, I watched most of it. I didn't finish it. I honestly got bored with it. I honestly sat there and thought, man, this show just is not what I wanted it to be. I wanted it to be more exciting, but it was just a bore fest. But this teaser, this trailer, whatever you want to call it, that dropped, absolutely, I think looks exciting and something that I would 100% want to watch. And well, here, let's take a look. What does this say from comicbookmovie.com? Marvel Television brought a new trailer for Daredevil Born Again Season 2 to this weekend's New York Comic Con. And while lead star Kristen Ritter accidentally leaked 20 seconds or so of it, the full teaser has now found its way online. As is often the case with leaks like these, the video appears to have been shot on a phone that's at least a decade old. Otherwise, we would expect the quality to be significantly better. Still, we do get to see all the biggest moments, including Matt Murdock's budding romance with Karen Page, some intriguing shots of Bullseye, Foggy Nelson's return, which does appear to be in a flashback, and a maniacal Mayor Wilson Fisk. Jessica Jones' return is also a huge part of this sneak peek, and it seems she'll waste no time teaming up with the Man Without Fear again. This Defenders reunion has been a long time coming, and Ritter is clearly having a lot of fun here. Will Marvel Studios now release Daredevil Born Again Season 2 trailer? Don't bank on it. Season 1 trailer was shown at least a couple of events and leaked on both occasions. Despite that, we still had to wait months for an official release. Asked if Luke Cage and Iron Fist could follow Jessica in this or future seasons, Marvel Television boss Brad Winterbaum recently told Entertainment Weekly, "The less I say, the better." What did he say? The less I say, the better. Dario is trying to tell a story to great effect that is, like Stan Lee said, a reflection of the world outside your window. The politics of New York are a big part of that story. It's clearly about a guy who runs around in a devil suit. But what is amazing about Dario's work is the intricacy of the interplay of all these characters and how well he really treats New York and the world of City Hall and the groundswell of growing resistance against Fisk. It feels at times like a fantasy epic or a Game of Thrones or something. There's a palace intrigue type storytelling that is really fun to read. I'm starting to watch the cuts. It's amazing, he added. So I don't know if it's exactly about who's going to show up. It's a little deeper than that. There are rewards to be had for fans, but it's really about the stakes of this world that this Kingpin is building in New York City. And it is due to premiere in March of 2026. Look, I'm excited. Like I said, I wasn't a big fan of season 1, so I'm hoping season 2 is going to be better than what season 1 brought. So for me, I'm all for it. I will probably finish season 1 just so I can jump into season 2 and understand what's going on. But yeah, I am looking forward to this for sure. Just because, well, first off, I loved Kristen Ritter as Jessica Jones. I thought she was absolutely perfect in the role. And they're hinting that they're going to do some pretty different and cool things with the character. And I know that there was a lot of the reshooting and the finagling of season 1 that I believe caused a lot of the problems that I had with it. It looks like season 2 and the potential of season 3 that they have a story they want to tell. They're not going to have to go back and reshoot and rejigger this whole thing up. They have an idea and they know what they want to do with it. So that's what I'm looking forward to. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think about this? Did you see the teaser that leaked onto the internet? What did you think of it? I would love to hear what you have to say. Critic Chris says, in season 2 of Daredevil Born Again, part of the MCU officially? Well, yeah, season 1 was. Yeah, season 1 was part of the MCU officially. All of this stuff is now officially a part of the MCU. Originally they were saying that Daredevil, like those Netflix shows, weren't going to be part of it, but then they just kind of gave in and they're all part of it now, in one way or another. So yeah, I mean, they're doing kind of the James Gunn thing. If they mention it, it's part of it. That's kind of the way they're handling it. So yeah, Movie Talk Now is excited. Yeah, Daredevil. Yeah, it's a good time. I just hope season 2 is just as good, or just as good as the Netflix shows, I should say, not season 1, because like I said, I was not a big fan of season 1. I got bored with it. Moving on to the next thing, it's still another Marvel topic, but Jonathan Majors reveals his plan to return as Kang in the MCU. So obviously, we know that the initial plan was to do Kang Dynasty and then Secret Wars based off of that. Like, the whole idea was to build up Kang as the big bad in this multiversal saga of the MCU. We started to get a feel of who Kang was in Loki season 1 in the final episode. He was in a big part of Loki season 2. He then showed up in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. After that, he disappeared because of some things that Jonathan Majors happened to have happen in his personal life. And Marvel Studios decided to just cut ties with him because of that, instead of deal with the ramifications and potentially have to deal with if it went south for him and went really bad for him, dealing with having someone like that on their roster. Instead of dealing with it, they just cut ties with him completely. And they went the direction with Robert Downey Jr. coming in as Dr. Doom, and they decided to move forward with Doom. I still think it was a bad choice to do that. I think they could have just recast Kang because of him. Look, Jonathan Majors as an actor is phenomenal. I think he is a phenomenal actor. But I do believe that the Kang character was already getting established, and I think they could have recast and just kind of moved forward with that story. And I think they could have fixed it. There's no denying that it wasn't. What they did in Loki, I think, worked. What they did in Quantumania did not work. And that's just one project. So one project, they dropped the ball. I get it. But they could have done something to fix the story of Kang in another project and just kind of get everything back on track and make him the big bad of the whole multiversal saga just by recasting. Like, I think they could have done it that way. The only reason why I think that they didn't do that is because I think, in a way, in the back of their mind, I think they thought there's a possibility we could bring Jonathan Majors back down the line. That is the only reason why I think they decided not to recast. But we know they went with Dr. Doom, and this is where we're at. So, what does Jonathan Majors say about his potential return? So he was asked in an interview about coming back. He says, I cannot say anything about that. Well, it's a multiverse, so there's always that. Always a lot of opportunity for that. That is a very peculiar thing to say. I cannot say anything about that. Just saying it that way is very peculiar, because he could just say, oh, I've got nothing to say about it. I've not been in contact. There's been no talks. There's been nothing to discuss about it, anything. He says, I cannot say anything about that. It sounds like he knows what the possibility is of Kang returning. And he's just not going to say. Whether he is returning or not, he knows what the possibility is. And he says, well, it's a multiverse, so there's always that. The fact that he then speaks on the Marvel Cinematic Universe like he's still involved with it here. Well, it's a multiverse, so there's always that. Always a lot of opportunity for that. Speaking like, look, because it's the multiverse, because there's a multiverse, there's always an opportunity for a possible return. So like the way he talks about it is like, hey, just to me, it seems like it's a very interesting way of talking about it. Now, he also says, yeah, of course, I say yes. Disney, Marvel Studios, I love them. Tom Hiddleston, loved working with that guy. Loved working with Paul Rudd. Loved working with Gugu Mbatha Raw. I don't remember who that was. But that was, pointing out that he loved working with everybody there. Let's see. While not all Marvel stars have opened up about Majors firing, Michael B. Jordan, who played Killmonger, was vocal about his support, said, but he's doing great, just got engaged. I'm proud of his resilience and his strength, though, it all, and his handling of it. I'm glad he's good. That's my boy. So, I mean, that's pretty much a very, like I said, it's a very interesting thing. Does this mean he's going to be back as Kang? Does that mean he's going to show up in Doomsday or Secret Wars? I think if he was going to show up in either of them, it would probably be Secret Wars, not Doomsday. But I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. I don't think it's going to be in either of these movies. And honestly, my concern is if you wrap up the multiverse saga now, to introduce any type of multiversal things down the line is kind of ridiculous, I think. Now, I'm not saying that Kang has to be part of the multiverse. He doesn't have to be part of a multiversal story. He doesn't have to be. But that's how he was kind of established. So if he were to come in, say 10 years from now, or 5 years from now, or 6 years from now, when they're done with the multiversal saga and they're in the middle of the mutant saga, it doesn't really work. It really doesn't. So if he doesn't pop up between now and the end of Secret Wars, I don't think he's going to be back. I don't think we're going to see Kang again. in the MCU, at least anytime soon. Now, let's say if the MCU moves forward and in 15 years, in 10 years, they're out of the mutant saga and they're like, hey, let's bring Kang back and we're going to do a Kang saga and we're really going to get it right this time. Okay, maybe that's a possibility. But as of now, I don't think it's going to be anything that happens now. I personally don't see it happening, not because of what happened in his personal life, because we know what the outcome of all of that was. But I'm thinking because of just how Marvel has handled it, how Marvel has gone with the Doom, Doctor Doom storyline and everything like that. That's kind of the direction that they're going. And I don't think they want to confuse people like, here's Dr. Doom, oh, but here's Kang that we were going to use, but now here's Dr. Doom. I just don't think they're going to go that route. I'm not going to say it's going to confuse people, but I just don't see the point in bringing him in when you're focusing on Dr. Doom. That's all. But let me know your thoughts. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Would you like to see Jonathan Majors as Kang back in the MCU? When do you want to see him back? Do you want to see him back now during the multiversal saga, or would you want to see it down the line? Like, when would you want to see him back? If you want to see him back, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Now, I don't know if you guys are trying to comment and are not popping up. Again, I know YouTube's all funky right now, apparently. So it is what it is. I'm just going to keep chugging along here, guys. Minecraft. Can you believe it? Minecraft 2 is coming out. They announced Minecraft 2 coming out July 23rd, 2027. Now, the interesting thing about this is we know that Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdy, geez, I can't talk, got contract renewals. And then shortly after, a couple days later, they announced Minecraft 2 coming out July 23rd, 2027. Now, some people are freaking out that, oh, this is just a couple weeks after, if not even a couple weeks after. It's like, what is that? Not even 10 days. Is it 10 days? Almost 2 weeks. Almost 2 weeks after Superman, Man of Tomorrow comes out. And people are a little upset about that. They think that that's a big issue. And they're wondering, what the heck? Like, what could be going on? So we sit here and it's kind of like, well, like, what is there a chance that they're trying to sabotage DC? Are they trying to sabotage Minecraft? Like, what's the deal? Why didn't they just go to the structure they had this year, where Minecraft came out in May and then Superman came out in July? I think they still believe, and as I do, you can put out a movie and it comes out, 1 week, and then a week or two later, another movie comes out. It's not gonna. People go see good movies to see good movies. I do think that there's a chance that one of them may move, but again, I think we're 2 years out. Let's see how it plays. I'm not too worried about it, but yeah, it is a peculiar thing to see that Warner Brothers would announce 2 movies back to back like that, because what can they do? Like, yeah, I mean, they're essentially going to compete with each other. So it is interesting. It is an interesting predicament that they've put themselves in, for sure. So, yeah, let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. Yeah. Okay. Moving on. This one's really cool. Batman Nightfall is being adapted as a 4-part animated movie. This is pretty cool. So, Batman Nightfall. I don't know if you know Batman Nightfall, but Nightfall is one of the most iconic stories in the comics. It was the comic which introduced Bane and broke the Bat. It is the comic that gave really probably the biggest shock of the world to pretty much everyone like who's a Batman fan, like seeing that happen. So you go forward and it's like, okay, so you're going to basically incapacitate Batman. What are you going to do at this point? Well, they go and they give Azrael the moniker of Batman, and he runs around for a little while being Batman. And that was kind of the story of Nightfall, and they're putting it in animated form. It's exciting. I think it's going to be really, really cool. And I think much like I remember, what was it, like 10 years ago when they did The Dark Knight Returns in animated form, and then they did Dark Knight Returns Part 2 and everything. I think this is going to be as exciting as that was, because I think that was a really good adaptation. Was it perfect? No, but I think it worked really well in animated form. And I encourage people all the time who aren't big readers, watch that animated movie, because there's two parts, 1 and part 2, because they're excellent. They're great ways to experience the story. I'm thinking Batman Nightfall is going to be a great way to experience this story as well. So I'm hopeful that it's great. I'm hopeful that they do really well with it. So we will see for sure how it goes. But let me know your thoughts. I'd love to hear what you have to say about this in the comments, because guys, more DC content. You know, the one thing I'm kind of surprised about is that they're doing this, because it's not DCU. Like, this is 100% going to be Elseworlds type of stuff, but like on it, like DC Studios, they had to approve this. So they had to say, yeah, we're going to do this. And did James Gunn and Peter Safran greenlight it? They had to have, right? Like, that to me, it's kind of like, I would think, like, I know that they want to get content out there, but to me, I feel like they should focus more on the DCU side of things. It's really a bizarre concept to me how they're handling everything, because for me, if I was a head of a studio, like, I'm being completely upfront and honest with you here. If I was the head of a studio, I would 100% be like, look, we need everything, at least in the beginning, everything as much as possible should be connected to this universe that we're building. And then in a few years, sure, we can do these Elseworld stories. That's the way I would handle it, at least. But, you know, they're announcing this Nightfall. Now, maybe Nightfall has been in development for a while, but still, it's weird to me. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts, though. Love to hear what you have to say about all this in the comments. All right. Just chugging along here, guys. I'm just chugging along here. What are you guys saying over here? Movie Talk Now says, I think we can also safely announce Minecraft 3 and 4. Maybe. I mean, I don't think the second one is going to do as well as the first one. I think the first one was more of a, like, flash in the pan. Like, it was one of those things that, like, it happened, and I don't think anybody knew it was going to happen. And I don't think the second one is going to do the same thing. Maybe it does, but like, what did the first one make? Like 950, 960, something like that. Second one will probably make 7 or 8. You know, like, that's what I'm saying. So will they do a third one? Probably. Will they make a fourth one? Probably. I just don't think they'll announce it yet. Let's see. Chris says, yes, I read about that. I look forward to it. You should very much look forward to it. Movie Talk Now says, such a great story. It really is. He says, it's like my nutsack getting pleasured. Well, that's interesting. Not something I want to picture either. Just saying, not something I want to picture. Critic Chris says, I love a live action Bane truly from comic to screen in the film, unlike how he was depicted in the last two times. Well, I agree. What they did with Bane in Dark Knight Rises was an interesting concept. It was an interesting idea how they did that, but definitely not Bane. In Batman and Robin, he was much closer to to how Bane is, but not exactly. So yeah, I mean, I get it. I would like to see a more true to comic book form of Bane in live action at some point. But will we get it? I don't know. That's the one problem I have with Batman iterations that I think people don't understand. Like when I sit here and I think of James Gunn's DCU, to me, I'm hopeful that James Gunn actually adapts some of these villains, some of these rogues of Batman more true to form, at least closer, more true to form uh, than what we've seen in the past. Because, like, take a look at, and you know, I'm going to go with recent events. Take a look what they did with Riddler in the Batman. Like that's not Batman, or that's not Riddler. He's really not Batman either, but that's not Riddler. You take a look at even, you know, what Christopher Nolan did with Bane, with Joker. Even like that was it was a version of Joker. Excuse me. Wow, that came out of nowhere. It was a version of Joker, but it wasn't actually Joker from the comics that we had been used to for so many years. So, like, I want to see James Gunn actually adapt these comic rogues from Batman comics to be like the comics and not say, well, we want them to be more realistic and more like it would be in the real world. No, I want them to be wacky and weird like they are in the comics, because that's what makes them so appealing in the comics, and it's so appealing to me. You know, like that's what fits for me. And that's what I like about reading Batman comics. And that's what I want to see. And that's what I'm hopeful for when it comes to this DCU stuff. Because he's willing to go that weird and wacky side of comics. So I'm all for that. But we'll see. Hopefully it happens. Hopefully it happens. Ben's here. He says that was Nolan's take on Bane. I understand that. I know that's how Nolan was, because he wanted everything to be so closer to being grounded than not. Definitely. Critic Chris says it was a more realistic depiction of these characters. Yes. And I'm just over it. Like, I'm over this realistic depiction of characters when it comes to comics. Like, like for me, I just want the wacky, the weird, the fun, the fantasy of what comics brings. That's what I want back in these movies. That's what I would like to see. Like, I remember, you know, back in the early 2000s, watching Spider-Man, you know, what Sam Raimi did with Spider-Man. Like that, while yes, it had some realism to it, like they did a good job at giving us that mix of that fantasy alongside the realism. Even the X-Men movies gave us that fantasy alongside the realism. And that's what I want from DC. I don't want DC to just be realistic all the time. I want it to be fantasy, because that's what comics are. It's modern day fantasies. And that's what I want. Fantasies. Fanimator 101. What's going on? Says, I love the Batman animated stuff, as do I. Radio Anarchy says, I want the rogues in the DCU to be crazy like the comics. Nothing like the Matt Reeves Joker. I'm tired of the grounded. As am I, Ben. As am I. All right. Next story. All right. So this Paramount stuff. We're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about this Paramount stuff here, okay? So Paramount and Warner Brothers, they've been in conversation for a couple weeks here. They have been. I mean, look, I know Warner Brothers Discovery has been in discussion, like people's mouths, for what now? Has it been 2 years that they're going to get sold? That there's going to be a merger. I've talked about it. Other YouTubers have talked about it. Some have said, oh, it's going to happen in a month. Some have said it's going to happen in the next 3 weeks. And it's never come. It's never come. It's never come. And it's been 2 years. We know that it's going to happen. We've all known it's going to happen. Well, finally, now some people were like, it's going to be Universal. Some have said it's going to be Paramount. Then it popped up, it's going to be Netflix. I think at one point, some people were like, it's going to be Apple. It's going to be Disney. Like, it's been all over the place. It's been all over the place. Well, recently, Paramount was really up there high on the list. It's because David Ellison recently bought, merged with Skydance and Paramount. Paramount and Skydance merged, and that all went through. That all became official just months ago, not that long ago. He's part of one of the richest families in the world, and he wants more. He's like, gimme. I want more. So he's now looking at bidding on Warner Brothers. Now, we know Warner Brothers is looking at splitting their company with doing next year, with doing kind of essentially movies on one side and television on the other. Essentially, that's what they're doing. Because TV just is not profitable anymore. So when I say TV, like cable TV stuff, they're like, yeah, let's go push that over there. Nobody wants that crap. So that's what their plan is next year. However, Paramount wants to buy the company as a whole. That's what they want to do. And I get it. I understand they want the company as a whole because there's a lot there that they would like to take. There's a lot that they would like to get when it comes to IPs and franchises and deals with different sports and just news deals and things like that. Like, there's so much there that we don't even understand, that we don't even know all about. But there is so much there that Paramount wants to get their hands on. So there's been these discussions going on. What are they going to do? Are they going to bid? Are they going to wait? Like, how's this going to go? And obviously, they're going to talk. They're going to have discussions. Like, what's it going to take? What's it going to take? What's it going to take? So Paramount finally does send a bid their way. They sent a bid towards Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers rejected it. So Bloomberg is reporting that Paramount made an initial offer of $20 per share for the company, which totals a market capitalization of roughly $49.64 billion. Zaslav and his team rejected the offer, calling it too low. Warner Brothers Discovery stock closed on Friday at $17.10 per share. It will certainly be interesting to see how this latest offer from Paramount moves the needle once the stock market opens on Monday morning. So this was last week that this happened. So they were willing to pay roughly $3 over what their stock was per share. Now, here's the thing that we have to remember, okay? Warner Brothers is millions and millions and millions of dollars in debt. So the fact that they went in there and they're like, look, we're going to overpay per share to take you on and take on this debt. That's number one. But remember, this is a publicly traded company. So while Zaslav and his team can reject an offer, can accept an offer, that doesn't mean that the offer is official at that point, because at that point, when they accept or reject an offer, they have to take it to the shareholders, and the shareholders then have to vote on it and agree to it and not agree to it. And they rejected it because they believe that they can get more for their shareholders. Or they believe that this is not the right move for the company. We don't know what their reasoning was for rejecting it. Or they could be thinking that, hey, or here's the thing. Yeah, like I said, they could be thinking this is not a good move because they may want to still split. They may be weighing their options and still want to split their company, and maybe after the split, sell the company in parts. That's another possibility, and maybe they think they can make more money that way. However, there's another possibility, which is, where did it go? Comcast. Comcast Universal, or Universal Comcast, however it goes, may soon jump into the mix. According to sources close to Paramount Skydance, insiders note that the conglomerate headed by Chairman Brian Roberts is in the middle of breaking out its cable TV properties into a separate company named Versant. Once that spinoff is complete, Comcast will consist of its Peacock streaming service, its Universal theme parks, NBC News and Xfinity, a unit that provides internet and cable services. According to sources, Skydance is particularly worried about a possible Comcast bid because Warner Brothers Discovery's deal savvy Zaslav already has a strategic relationship with Comcast Xfinity unit to deliver content through the company's internet service and cable pipes. It's unclear which Comcast unit would make the bid, but the cable giant's boss, Roberts, is said to be highly interested in Warner Brothers Discovery's content, as well as its top-ranked studio and HBO Max streaming service, now the number 3 most popular. And the reason why I bring this up is because, like I said, this last bit of information, sell to David Ellison of Paramount or split. And if they were to split the companies, let's say they split and they do HBO Max and the movie studios over here, and then the cable stuff and the TV stuff over here. This here, Comcast, would be very interested, most likely, in that HBO Max studio side of things, in the movie studio side. And they may bid on that. Now, how much would they pay for that? Would they pay that, what was it, $46 billion or whatever it was for just that? Probably not. But could it be upwards of 25 million or billion? I'm sorry. Possibly. But what do they then do with the TV side of things? See, that's where it starts to get interesting. And I'm going to say this. Do not write off any other companies coming in and throwing their hat in the ring right now. I'm not going to sit here and say that like Disney's going to come in. I'm not going to sit here and say that Apple's going to come in, but we've heard the rumblings of Netflix, and I don't think Netflix is going to happen. Not now, not for the whole company. But if Warner Brothers Discovery decides to wait until their split happens, I can see them at that point in time coming in and trying to get that HBO Max and movie studio side. That's what's going to be interesting. And I honestly think, look, I'm not a professional. I'm going to be the first to admit to you, I'm not a professional. I don't know all the ins and outs. But I really, truly believe that that is the move that Warner Brothers Discovery wants to make. I truly believe that's what they want to make. And I think Skydance, Paramount, unless they come in with a deal that is just too good to pass up, I'm talking like $25 to $30 per share, if not more, I don't think they're even going to consider it. Now, keep in mind, if Ellison comes in with a deal and Zaslav and his team turns it down, and it's found out to be something astronomical, and the shareholders find out, the shareholders can pressure Zaslav, and they could very well pressure to vote him out, to get him out, to have him fired, to get that deal to go through. What the intricacies of all that are, I don't know, because I don't know the rules and regulations and the contracts and stuff like that of Warner Brothers. But I'm sure they have some precedent that if Zaslav and his team doesn't do what's best for their shareholders, he can be ousted. So this is all a very, very interesting story. This is much different than what happened with Fox and Disney. This is much different than what happened with Paramount and Skydance. Like, this is very different than what we've seen before. So I think we all need to keep an eye on this, because I think this could go any way. I don't think this is going to be something that gets done within the next week or two. I don't think this is going to be something that's going to happen even. I said this a couple weeks ago. I think this is going to go until, at the very earliest, the end of this year. But if Warner Brothers goes the way that they want it to go, if they go until they get their split in the company, which is going to happen next year, well, then keep in mind, because this is where we're going to then move over to the James Gunn of it all, because I do want to talk about that slightly, just for a bit. If we move to the James Gunn of it all, everybody has this idea, or this thought, that let's say I'm completely wrong, and tomorrow it's announced that Paramount buys Warner Brothers Discovery. Okay, let's say that happens October 16th of 2025. That does not mean that October 16th of 2025, David Ellison can walk into Warner Brothers and start firing people. This deal, like I said, would then have to go to the shareholders. The shareholders would have to agree to it. It would then have to go through a whole bunch of regulators and get through that. This deal would take anywhere from 12 to 24 months to be completed. We're talking 12 to 24 months. Now, sure, they could have ways that they could speed it up. Backhand deals and things like that. Backdoor deals, not backhand deals, backdoor deals and things like that. But for the most part, it's going to take 12 to 24 months to get completed. We saw it with Fox. Like that took, I think it took 16 months, 18 months, something like that, for that deal to be finalized. So, with that said, David Ellison purchases Warner Brothers Discovery. Okay? Everybody's like, James Gunn's fired. No. That's not necessarily what happens. Let's just say, for the sake of there being an argument here, okay, let's use our brains. Ellison buys Warner Brothers Discovery. They wait, because obviously they'll have a vote. It might take a few days, maybe a week, for the board to get together, the shareholders to get together, to have their vote, all that kind of stuff. They have their vote. Then it goes to the regulators. Then it has to go through all that. Everybody has to, it takes months and months. During that time, they're not going to just stop putting out content. They're not going to put a halt on DC Studios. James Gunn is going to go forward as business as usual. You're going to have your Lanterns, your Supergirl, your Man of Tomorrow, and anything else that he has planned. Those things are still going to happen. Now, let's say every one of those projects bomb. They bomb. Well, yeah, David Ellison, once this deal is complete, he may come in and say, "You're fired," and get him out of there. Very well possible. However, if all those movies and projects are hits and they make money and they do well, and they look good and people enjoy them, David Ellison's not going to come in there and say, "You're gone." No, he's going to say, "Hey, you've been doing a good job through this rough time. You're staying on." That's the thing that people don't understand. That just because you hear there's a sale going on, or there's a potential sale to happen, or there could be a merger that happens, that does not mean that the person of said company that might be taking over is going to come in immediately and fire everybody. Because it takes so much time for these deals to finalize and go through and everything to happen that anything could happen during that time. The DCU could become the number one studio in Hollywood between now and then. We don't know what could happen. Now, another interesting thing to remember, 2022 is when Zaslav signed Safran and Gunn. So Safran and Gunn signed their deal in, what was it, November of 2022? And they got a 5-year deal. So 5 years takes them to November of 2027. Now, what's interesting about that is that would make, Man of Tomorrow potentially, definitely the last movie that James Gunn would be writing and directing under that deal. Okay. Now, let's say next year, there's still no deal in place. Lanterns comes out, Supergirl comes out, they both do really well. There's still no deal in place. David Zaslav could easily just extend Safran and Gunn for another X amount of years. He could say, look, I like what you've done. You've done really well for this new studio. Here's an extension for another 5-6 years. And they can keep moving forward. They can keep going. That's if there's no deal going on. So there's so many moving pieces to this. Let's look at one more aspect of it. And I said this earlier when I first started talking about this. When I first started talking about this, I said, there are so many pieces of Warner Brothers Discovery that any company would want, whether it's the IPs, franchises, Harry Potter, DC, Looney Tunes, you name it. There's so many different IPs that they would want. Game of Thrones, all of those IPs they would want to have. Okay? As well as all the different types of deals they have in regards to sports or news or whatever it is. Do you really think David Ellison or what's his name? The guy from Comcast, Roberts, is sitting there seething, saying, you know what? I want Warner Brothers Discovery because I want to get James Gunn out of there. Do you think that's what they're saying? Do you think that's what they're thinking? No. What they're doing, most likely, I can't sit here and say for certain, but what they're most likely doing is they're sitting there and they're saying, I want Warner Brothers Discovery because I want all of what they have. Because I can add that to the portfolio of my current business and we can expand from there. That's what they're talking about. That's what they're thinking. They're not sitting there thinking about, I'm going to get rid of this executive, this executive, this executive, this producer, this director, that executive, this one. They're not thinking about that right now because that isn't what is important. What's important is figuring out how to get the deal done to get that under their umbrella. And then at that point in time, then they'll start going through everything and seeing what's working, what's not working, why is it working, why isn't it working, who do we keep, who do we get rid of? So, again, reports or people talking about James Gunn being gone, ridiculous. The sale and everything like that, what's going on with the sale? Look, it's exciting to think about. It's not exciting to think about. I don't want it to happen because I don't want more mergers. I want more studios. But I know that it's an inevitability. There we go. We know it's going to happen. So I think it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to play out a lot longer than I think a lot of other people think it's going to be. It's going to be a lot longer. But Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, like I said, maybe it happens tomorrow. Maybe it happens a week from now. But I think it's going to be no earlier than the end of this year. No earlier than December, maybe January. No earlier than that. But again, I'm not a professional. I don't have insider knowledge. I'm not a paid shill, as I was called, or apparently outed as. So let me know your thoughts, though. It's all interesting, I know, but let me know your thoughts in the comments below. All right. I see you guys saying some things over here. What do you got to say? What am I doing here? David Freyer, I'm sorry, I'm terrible with names. I think Paramount was planning a hostile takeover already, and Ellison is greedy daddy's boy. Hey, I mean, you kind of got to be when you're in that business. Trayvon says, in regards to comic book news, just remember Matt McGloin really has it in for James Gunn. I'm sure he does. A lot of people do for some unknown reason. Trayvon says, want to know how James is doing his job? Well done. He got the grifting crybabies going. Hunter Iggy says, what are your thoughts on grifters still saying that James Gunn will be gone? I just talked about it. I think the grifters are they're ignorant. They have no idea what they're talking about. They have no idea what they're talking about. So all right. I don't know if you heard, but this is some cool news. Maybe you gotta come. There we go. Superman won a Harvey Award for Best Comic Adaptation at New York Comic Con. Now, this award is named after and inspired by the great Harvey Kurtzman, who revolutionized comics and left the world a better and much wittier place than he found it. Thanks to everyone at the Harvey Awards for this honor, says James Gunn. Excuse me. Yes, this is really, really cool. And there's people who are actually freaking out about this. There's people who are like, what does this mean? This doesn't mean anything. This is just a stupid award that doesn't mean a darn thing. Well, what's this all mean? Well, first off, come on, guys. Like, this is cool. First off, we had 4 superhero films come out this year. 4. You had Captain America, you had Thunderbolts, you had Fantastic Four, and you had Superman. All right? So 4 movies. I'll give it to them. 3 of those movies were deserving of even being up for this award. Captain America, look, even though I enjoyed the movie, I get it, was not really deserving of being up for this award. Thunderbolts was a fantastic film. I honestly think maybe it should have won this award. I thought it was a fantastic film. Fantastic Four, I could have understood why they would have given that movie this award, just because it's Marvel, just because it's Fantastic Four. It had a really cool aesthetic, but I feel the movie was just blah. It was not a good movie. But Superman, which was a really fun, heartfelt, hopeful film, is the one that won the award. Now, what is so great about this award? Well, this award is not that new, or it's not that old. I'm sorry. It started in 2018, which the first award was Black Panther. The first movie to win it was Black Panther, which fantastic movie, guys. I mean, it is. The first Black Panther is a fantastic movie. The next movie to win it in 2019, or next project, I should say, was Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Come on. We all love that movie. Then a TV show won it. Watchmen. Not Zack Snyder's Watchmen. No. Not that. The HBO show Watchmen, which is an excellent show. I encourage you all to watch it. It's really good if you haven't. The next year, WandaVision, which I think is overrated, but WandaVision won it in 2021. In 2022, Miss Marvel won it, which, again, I think is a really good show. Very deserving. In 2023, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse won it. In 2024, X-Men 97 won it. And now in 2025, Superman has won the award. These other projects that it's standing with are fantastic projects. The only one on that list that I can sit there and say, well, I don't think it really is that great personally, is WandaVision, because I was disappointed with WandaVision. But out of all of those projects, there isn't a bad one up there. And Superman is on there now too, which means out of 8 projects, not a single one is bad. That is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic and absolutely deserving for Superman. Absolutely deserving. So, congratulations to James Gunn and the whole team behind Superman in getting that award. Very much deserved, and it's exciting. Very, very exciting. So, congratulations on that. Let's see. Hunter Iggy says, if David Ellison is a fan of James Gunn, why would he fire him? And I believe he won't renew his contract. Well, there's rumor that because Ellison is apparently a Trump supporter, that he's going to fire James Gunn because he's a Trump supporter, because James Gunn is not a Trump supporter. Like, that's kind of the whole idea behind it. That I don't know. It's really weird. Trayvon says, just remember, Hunter, they still want to push that horse crap that nobody's talking about. Superman, the Birdman broke down critical drinker recently. Let's see. Trayvon says, FYI, Snyder Bros, no Superman movie, not even your precious Man of Steel has outgrossed a single Spider-Man movie. It's funny. All right. Now, finally, let's talk about this. James Gunn says the DCU's Salvation storyline will involve these 3 characters: Superman, Lex Luthor, and Rick Flag. Okay. Excuse me. Oh, man. Can't get rid of this. So, people kind of freaked out about this. Like, I don't know why. I think it's been pretty apparent from the last couple projects. Like, Superman's a main character, Lex Luthor's a main character, Rick Flag's a main character. Kind of makes sense. But what does this kind of mean? Like, what we saw in Peacemaker is this whole Salvation planet thing. And we know from the comic, Salvation Run was a villain-centric story that, you know, it double. I don't know if you saw my posts on Twitter about it, but, you know, it really doubled as like a prison of sorts for villains, but also like a training ground for parademons, which Darkseid then utilized and prepared for Final Crisis, essentially. It's kind of the short end of it. So could they be setting that up? Could they be setting up Final Crisis? I don't think they're setting up Final Crisis. Some people think that they're going with the whole aspect of the center, but I don't know. I don't know if that's what they're going with. There was a hat that actually popped up on social media from the Green Lantern show, from Lanterns, that I guess Crew was given. And in the middle of it, like, had like a weird little shape in the middle of the lantern. And everybody's like, oh, that means it's the center. I don't know. Like, I'm still unsure, because I don't know how the center correlates to Salvation. I just don't see it. I don't see it. Personally, I think what they're going to do is, I think that they're going to utilize Salvation as this prison, but it's going to be more along the lines of where, hey, they're getting put in this prison. I think another entity is going to find this prison. Is it Brainiac? Is it a new god? Something like that. And it's going to lead them to Earth. And I think that's what's going to happen personally. I just think it's going to be something simplistic like that. I don't think it's going to be anything over the top. Maybe it is, though. I don't know. But I hope that he uses a little bit more of the comics, inspiration, at least alluding to parademons and new gods in some way, so we at least know they're out there. At least we know that, hey, this is there. This is there. Not getting to them yet, but they're there. Like, that's kind of what I want, because I don't necessarily want to see Darkseid now. I'd rather someone like Brainiac right now, but that's just me. But I'd love to hear what you guys have to think about this, because look, this whole idea about salvation and people getting mad that Superman, Lex, and Rick are kind of like the big characters in this story. Why are people mad about it? Like I don't get it. Superman should be the center of the DCU. He should be, especially in the beginning. Especially in the beginning of the DCU, Superman should be at the center of it. And Lex Luthor, who is his biggest rival, should absolutely be standing there as well at the center of everything. Rick Flag Sr., first off, I like his character. Some people are complaining about his character arc and how it doesn't make sense. I think it makes perfect sense. I think it works. From Creature Commandos to the end of Peacemaker, I think it's worked perfectly fine. I think it's worked actually not fine. I think it's worked really well. It's been very interesting, a great journey for him. But I like it. I think it's really cool. But I'd like to see where it all goes. I just hope it's exciting for everyone involved. Fans and the actors and the writers and everything like that. My biggest concern, because and this is where I'm concerned. And I'm always going to be honest with you. I've stated this for quite some time. His ideas for Man of Tomorrow, I don't think he had, James Gunn that is, I don't think he had those ideas when Lanterns and Supergirl were being written. So while he may have had like this overall idea of where the story was going to go, I have this weird feeling that Lanterns is not going to connect to Man of Tomorrow like we think it is, or Supergirl is going to connect to Man of Tomorrow like we think it is. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe James Gunn is thinking 10 steps ahead. That's my only concern. And I know that he likes to say, and he says, every project is, you can watch it on its own and enjoy it on its own. You don't need to see the last project to know what this project is. You don't need to watch the next project or anything. Like, you can just watch each project on its own. I get that. But I also want a very cohesive, connected universe. So, like, I want the ramifications of Lanterns to affect what happens in Man of Tomorrow. I want the ramifications that happen in Superman to affect the Lanterns. I want the ramifications that happen in Supergirl to have an effect on Man of Tomorrow or in Clayface and things like that. Like, that's what I want to have happen. That's my concern. And I only say that because they did a decent job of that in Marvel early on. In the early stages of Marvel, the early phases, I should say, specifically like phase 1 and 2, they did a good job of that. They then got real lackluster with it and just kind of abandoned that whole idea. So that was one of the aspects I liked about Marvel early on. I would like to see that done here, but look, as long as the stories are good, as long as I'm invested, as long as I like the characters, that's something I can get past. But he opened his mouth the other day, I think it was yesterday, and said, that lanterns would be very connected to what's going on in Man of Tomorrow or something like that. And it's kind of like, how though? How? You didn't have a Man of Tomorrow script when they were shooting lanterns. Yeah, it just, to me, it's just weird. I don't know. But let me know your thoughts about all of this and where you think Salvation and these characters are going to lead us in Man of Tomorrow and moving forward. All right. What are you guys saying here? Let's see. Trayvon says, it's just like the Birdman mentioned. Superman isn't a huge box office draw, especially compared to Batman and Spider-Man. Even the X-Men has pulled in bigger box office numbers than Superman. Yeah, you're not wrong. Trayvon also says, Superman to Rick Flag Sr., this isn't freedom, this is fear. I firmly believe that when all is said and done, eggs will be on the faces of those who crapped all over the Peacemaker Season 2 finale. Hopefully. Movie Talk Now, I really hope Peacemaker has a large role in Man of Tomorrow. I don't think he will. I think he'll pop up in it, but I think it'll be something, because I think it'll be like 2 years after he was put in there, and we're going to see him with like this big long beard, long hair, and it'll either be like a short scene where he rescues somebody in there, maybe like Rick Flag or something. He'll rescue him, and then he'll get out. And I think that'll be it. I don't think he's going to have a big part in there. I don't. Critic Chris says, Slav, in that shot with Spider Skull, I noticed flags similar to those in ZSJL cuts. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Maybe I missed something. Kevin Davis says, I do believe Wicked for Good will make money at the domestic box office. Where the concern is the international audience, will they show up and support this film at the box office? Well, Wicked for Good. Well, the first Wicked, what did that do? I think it did what, like 700 million? It did wicked good. No, it did really well at the box office. I'm not a Wicked guy, so I'm not going to be seeing it. My kids didn't really care for it either. I think my oldest daughter, I think she may have watched it, but my younger daughters didn't care for it. My boys don't care for it at all. I honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it did about the same money, maybe a little bit more, just because of return, people going back. It's going to make the bulk of its money its first weekend, maybe the first 2 weekends, but after that, it's going to start to drop off pretty heavily. Yeah, what did it do internationally? Because I don't even know what it did internationally. Wicked box office. Let's see, because that's going to tell you. I mean, that just looking at the box office for it, internationally it did 283, so it did a little more than half of what it did domestically. So I mean, it did 756 worldwide. So if it does, let's say it does 500 domestically, you could probably say 250 to 300 internationally. So I mean, you're looking at another 750, 800, I think, for it. I would say I'm leaning on Wicked for Good to do slightly higher than the first one. So I would say probably about 800 total. Let's see. Trayvon says, I see what you're talking about, Slab, but I'm certain everything will make sense at the end of every. Oh, I'm sure. I know how he is. Yeah. Kevin Davis, Warner Brothers doesn't need to get acquired in order to survive as a studio. Paramount or Comcast acquire them. No goodwill from this is happening. I agree. I mean, I cannot disagree with that. Like, I don't want it to happen. Let's see. Kevin Davis says families will go see Zootopia 2 at the theaters. Yes, you're right. Critic Chris, that scene in Peacemaker Season 2 when you see the spider-like skull, you'd notice multiple flags upright. Something Darkseid's army would have on a conquered. Oh. I see. Oh, okay. I know what you're talking about. Oh, no, that was just an Easter egg from another comic series. That's all that was. I see what you're talking about. Yeah, that was another comic series from an Easter egg from that. Kevin says Predator Badlands will be moderate success. Avatar Fire and Ash will make money. Yeah, I mean, look, as much as I don't like the Avatar movies, you're right. That movie's gonna make money. It's just what it is. So yeah. Let's see. I got nothing else. You guys have anything for me? This is a pretty good show. Actually, I do have one other thing. I'm sorry. I lied. I have one more thing I want to talk about here because I saw this and my jaw kind of dropped. And this isn't a story about anything else. It's actually about me. So I'm going to pull this up. Now, I don't know if you see this in the comments. It's at the very top of the comments. I don't know if you saw it or not. So this River guy, and he pops up in my comments from time to time, and we go back and forth. He's someone who tries to he goes against everything I say all the time, and I'm fine with that. I mean, you guys know me. I love to debate. I love to go back and forth with people. That's one of my favorite things to do. I just love to debate. I love, for lack of a better way, I love to argue. I do. It is what it's what I love to do. It is what it is. So this guy posted on this stream earlier today, this morning, at 10 in the morning, way before the stream even happens. He says, "Don't trust Slav. He's a paid shill for DC Studios. He's been exposed by the Truth 31 on Discord." Now, Truth 31, we all know who Truth is, I think. I think most of us know who Truth is. He is another guy who, from what I understand, is very much like me, where we're Snyder fans of what Snyder did, but understood that when it ended, it was over. And we've supported what the DCU has been doing and is doing, and James Gunn, what he's doing and moving forward. I decided to go find his Discord because I noticed that Truth is not on Twitter anymore. Like, he hasn't posted anything since June of this year, because he and I talked a few times. Like, we've had messages back and forth. We were trying to get something set up with us being on our shows together. I think he even popped up on my old channel a couple times, but I tried to message him. I couldn't get a hold of him. So I went and found his Discord, which wasn't hard to find, but I found his Discord and I tried to get a hold of him there. Still haven't gotten a hold of him because I just wanted to find out, like, bro, is this true? Like, are you telling people that I'm a paid shill? Because first off, I'm not. Like, I mean, you guys know this. I'm not a paid shill. Like, I haven't. First off, DC, if you want to pay me, I'll take free merch, tickets, trips to Hollywood to see movies, whatever. I'll do it. I don't care. Heck, I'll see. You could just send me things to watch early, and I'll review them for you. I'll even do that. Whatever it is, I'll do that. But anyway, why not? It's not even being a shill. It's one of those things of, like, I enjoy DC stuff. I say it over and over again. I am a fan of DC, the brand, the IP, the franchise. Like, I appreciate James Gunn. I like what James Gunn has done with his career. I like mostly everything he's done. There's some things that I mean, Guardians 2, I'm not a big fan of, but mostly everything he's done, I've enjoyed. So yeah, I'm a fan of James Gunn. But if James Gunn were to leave DC, okay, see ya, James. Thanks for what you did. I'm still going to be a fan of DC. I'm still going to hope for the best. I'm still going to be excited for what's coming from DC because I'm a fan of DC. Because I want to see Batman, Superman, Green Lantern, Flash, Wonder Woman, Blue Beetle, Power Girl. If we ever get Power Girl, that'd be kind of cool. Supergirl. Like, I want to see these characters on screen. I'm not a paid shill. So I hope you all know that. Would I? And here's the thing. If I had a chance, if Warner Brothers ever or DC Studios ever said, "Hey, Slav, we want to send you episodes of Lanterns before they come out so you can review them and talk about them on your show," would you do it? Yes, I would. But I would never sacrifice my integrity. I would never sit there and say, well, I'm only going to talk good about them. I would explain. And if they ask me, how would you talk about it? I would explain, like, look, I'm going to be completely honest. If I don't like it, if I feel that there's issues with it, I'm going to talk about it in that way. I would never sit there and just talk highly of something just because I got it for free. And I think you all know that even with Superman, like I didn't get to see it for free. I wouldn't pay my own money, but even Superman, it wasn't my number one rated comic book movie this year. I enjoyed it, but I had issues with it. Like that's kind of the thing. Like, these people, they want to try and discredit me, all the time because I have a way of getting under their skin. I have a way and understand that, look, I know what I'm saying. I know what the truth is. I know how things work. And when they don't like to hear it, they want to try and discredit me any way possible. So I wanted to get this out there and just explain, look, I'm not a paid shill. I mean, if DC wants to pay me, whatever, I'm not going to change the way I talk, but hey, if you want to pay me, whatever. But that's all. I just wanted to get that out there. If you guys saw that, again, I don't know if any of you are in his Discord, in Truth's Discord. If you guys can reach out to him and find out, like, hey, Slav's trying to get a hold of you or something like that, that'd be great. Because I just want to find out if, first off, I'm not accusing Truth of saying this because I don't know if he did. I don't know if he did. I'm just basing it off of this comment here. So I'm not saying Truth actually said this. I would just like to find out from him if he actually did and why. But besides that, like, it is what it is. Like, I'm going to move forward, move straight. Still, let's just go, keep going, talk DC, talk fun, talk pop culture, all that kind of stuff. That's where we go. Crazy Joe goes, I've been trying to figure out how to become a paid shill. I could use the money. Can't we all, Crazy Joe? Can't we all? Oh, man. Let's see. I saw some other people jump up here. I will get this. Critic says, seems like a stalker, Slav. I notice him in chats. Yeah, I have a few people that are always in my chats. Watcher, I think if WB was gonna pay anyone to be a paid show, it would be someone with high sub count, someone like Soups. Oh, wait. Oh, I have a high sub count. Yeah, in one comment, you made me laugh and sad. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. The Watcher says if Slav was a paid show, he would be in Dubai and on a yacht right now. Come on. I mean, Dubai. I mean, I do want to visit Dubai. That'd be kind of cool. But yeah, I don't know if I'll be on a yacht. Watcher says my theory is that Gunn is remixing some comics. He may be making Salvation the center, like the whole planet in the center instead of an island. That's a possibility. Man. Crazy Joe also says I've been liking all these things for free. I need my payday. Me too, darn it. Crazy says, did you catch Tron 3? Really, really good. I just saw it for the second time today. I haven't checked it out yet. My son wants to see it too. We've just two of my kids are playing fall baseball right now. It's been like 2-3 days a week of that. This had our oldest dog passed away just a couple days ago, or just, had some health problems and then just passed away. So we've been dealing with that. So it's just been really busy the last week and a half. So hopefully I get a chance to go see it. I really want to, because I liked the last one, and the first one is what it is. I mean, it's an 80s film. But yeah, I'm hoping to get to go see it. I've heard very, very mixed reviews on it though. Great, Chris, how can WB pay people money if they don't have money? Very true. All right, guys, I'm getting out of here. I'm gonna hit the hay and get some sleep before I wake up tomorrow morning. But thank you all for coming on tonight. Again, sorry I wasn't here on Monday, and Watchtower will be this week, so I will be back this week, at the end of the week, for the Watchtower. Angelica Kate, hi guys, hi Angelica. We're finishing up the show right now, so sorry you can't. You caught us right at the end. Sorry to hear about your dog. That's all right. It's been more tough for my kids, specifically my youngest daughter, than anything. So thank you guys. But it's been a great show, guys. So thank you for stopping by, and I will check you out on the Watchtower later this week. Take it easy.